to my neck. And so that was a culture shock.
Q to the T-I-W-A. Welcome to the channel. Enjoy your stay.
Okay, so first of all, anyone who knows me knows that when I was in Korea, I always said, wait.
You're not gonna intro like, here I am, guys.
Oh, okay.
Y'all wanna be like, where is she?
And before we get started, I want you guys to go ahead and follow my Instagram at Tiwa Talks. And so the people who followed my Instagram, they were prepared for this video because I said I'm going to do a video on why you should not teach in Korea. I am so serious right now when I say that was the dumbest, the worst, most monkiest experience of my entire life. Like, it was literally from the second I landed, it was an L.
Hey yo, what the fuck?
Because before I came to Korea, I was watching, no one could tell me that I did not do my research. That's the one thing no one could say. I was watching hundreds of videos. I was watching videos of people who didn't even have views, okay? Like, I wanted to see the authentic teaching experience in Korea. I was reading articles, I was going on Reddit, I was going through the depths of the darkest pits of the internet. Facebook, right? Everything. I was joining groups, I was messaging people that were in Korea, I messaged people who left Korea. I was on the ball, okay? I was really... One thing about me, I'm not going to jump into something without doing my research. But nothing could have prepared me for how blindsided I was once I actually got there. Once I got there is when I understood the defamation laws. When you're in Korea, you can't even tell the truth. Like, you literally, you can get sued for defamation and even face jail time or at least deportation. Right, or a lengthy fine, that's like whatever. But deportation if you tell the truth. And so even when people were saying like some of the problems that they were having at their hagwon, they sugarcoated it because people didn't want to get sued. And so when I was there doing all my little YouTube or cafe vlogs, I was literally fighting for my life because I genuinely wanted to talk about how bad it was. But I was that fear of deportation was on my neck, especially because I had such a bad director who was constantly threatening us. Constantly just down our necks with just onslaught of verbal assault. Now we're just gonna let the strays fly. Let it rip, right? So number one biggest issue, there is no labor rights, period. You go to Korea, right? And you're thinking maybe there's gonna be at least some protection, some laws. There is no laws. I should have known better when I was hearing all about like the and how nothing really gets stalking, momoka cases, nothing gets done with mocha. I never seen so many spy cameras in my entire life. Every time I went into a bathroom in Korea, there was always going to be a camera in the toilet or in the walls or in the toilet paper. It was always somewhere. And so I felt like that should have been my red flag, that I was not going to get any sort of labor protections as a foreign worker. But you know what? I was like, let me have the benefit of the doubt. That was my first mistake, okay? Because I'm telling you right now, if you're going through any issue, it is so hard to get any sort of resolution for it. Obviously, there are some like boards dedicated to labor rights called, for example, MOL. That's the Ministry of Education and Labor. The amount of times I called them while I was in Korea and I would talk about my issues, I was like, I'm getting beat up by these students. My director is not doing anything. Like, there's a COVID outbreak at our school and we're still being expected to come. Like, I would constantly be calling them and they're like, we only deal with 3 things: unpaid wages, insurance, and benefits, or unemployment. And it's like, so you mean to tell me that if I have an issue outside of that, you can't resolve it? So that was like that was like a eye-opening moment for me.
Foreign protection.
Exactly.
And they want foreign teachers.
Exactly. They want foreign teachers, but it's like, where's the protection? Where is the legal, where's anything? I'm looking around. I called so many people. It was like Seoul Global Center, again, MOL. Another thing is, another prime example of this is join a group called LOFT. LOFT is LOFT. It's the Legal Office of Foreign Teachers. That group was basically what kept my brain cells together. But reading all of the things that people were going through, there were people getting There are people who haven't been paid in 4 months. Like, there was the worst sort of cases I've ever seen. And it's the fact that all of these foreigners had to come together to give them the solutions that they needed, because there was no one to turn to. You literally have to turn to other foreigners to act as their lawyers, because there's no one else. There's no HR. What HR?
I don't think you have the facilities for that, big man.
And so
You advocated for yourself all the time.
right, every single time I had an issue, I had to advocate for myself. I remember the first issue that I wanted to talk about is that read your contract. Even if you do read your contract, you know what? It's even better to give it to a lawyer to review it for you.
Yeah.
Because both contracts that I got, both of them played in my face. It did not matter how many times I reviewed it. There was always a little loophole that I didn't even see, did not even interpret it that way.
You always have to advocate for yourself anywhere, but those contracts were literally just traps. They
Yeah,
were just
it was traps. All those contracts are traps. And so when I first got to Korea, I was so excited. I was like, oh my God, this is going to be so great. And I did not know that there was a difference between teachable hours and working hours. And so in my first contract, it says something like, you have like 130 teachable hours per month. And I was like, okay. But no, I didn't realize that like, it should have said working hours. And so we were working a lot more than we were teaching. And so all that class preparation time,
They don't count it.
right, they didn't count it. And so I went there literally teaching science. I was like, I graduated from business. Why am I teaching science?
You signed up to be an English teacher.
Exactly. And it's not even legal for you to be teaching other subjects except English. However, they had me out here teaching science, making up the science units, literally creating science experiments. I was like, what the hell is this? Like, there was no resources, and I was constantly reprimanded. And they were like, you need to be on top of it. You need to. And I was like, I had nothing to turn to. I had no teaching experience. The training was like 2 hours on Zoom when I was in quarantine. And so obviously I was just thrown into it. Like, my first day there, they were like, why don't you have a science lesson prepared? I was like, where's the orientation? You're not going to let me at least shadow someone? Or like, there's nothing of the sort.
Man, quit playing with me, man. No, for real, don't play like that. Are you serious?
And so that was, first of all, my biggest issue. Like, why am I teaching a subject that I'm not legally supposed to be teaching? Like, let's get into that. And then the second thing was,
Bring that up. They just sideswept that.
exactly, they were like, oh, you signed the contract. And I was like, wow, that's pretty shit. Like, that's not what I expected. And then the second thing was, there was no breaks, my guy. From the second you clock in, like, I woke up, got dressed, and I'm already doing bus duty. I'm literally walking down the street, taking a bus and picking up all the children, which, again, did not know I'd be doing. If I knew that, I would not do it, because I hated bus duty. You have to bow down to the rude-ass parents who I knew were saying racist comments. Like, there was this one particular parent who I knew would frequently say, oh my gosh, her skin is so dirty, and look at her, she'd be pointing and shit. And it feels like, you feel like an indentured servant having to like bow down to these people who you know they don't like you. Like, they don't like you. And so doing that every morning felt so demoralizing.
I mean,
Oh, there you
the indentured servant, what about the time where they got you out there picking crops?
On Gary, bro. My school literally had us farming. They had us farming. Like,
what part of the curriculum is that?
exactly. Every Thursday we would go out and it's like, we have to go to a farm. We're picking potatoes. We're doing all this sharecropping and shit. Like, we are really doing this work because for context, I taught at a school where all of the students were rich. Like, I'm talking like
Celebrities, actors,
yeah,
actresses.
top celebrities, top actors, actresses, top doctors, like some of the biggest doctors. And so obviously there was that sense of entitlement, which literally walked into a fire ground. I did not expect that. And the thing is, obviously private academies are expensive and you're going to expect more wealthy people to attend those schools. But my school was like elites. Like, I can't even say some of the celebrities that like their children were at our school, because some of those celebrities they had second families. So their second family's children were at our school. I remember there was this one whose wife was literally insane. Like, she hated one of the Korean teachers, and she came down to the school, and so we had to hide the Korean teacher and we had to hide the Korean teacher at a shed in the back of the school, and she could not come back for like another hour. And so that just gives you context of how insane and how entitled some of these people are, and how little the respect that teachers get. Yo, here hiding the teacher. It was not giving what it should have gave. Back to the no breaks. From the time you clock in to the time you clock out, no days off, okay? You're just working. Got me working day and night. Like, it was so frustrating, because it's like, you're teaching at the kindergarten, and obviously I generally went there wanting to teach. Like, I don't know about the rest of the girls or the guys who are going there to do sex tourism. However, I generally wanted to teach. I was like, this is going to be such a good experience, a great international work experience. It's going to improve my communication skills. It's going to help me to learn what it takes to adapt in a global work environment, because obviously there is people from other cultures, other languages. So I was like, this is going to be great for me, especially as someone who, studied business and likes international business. No, it was a setup.
You're a victim.
After no breaks, I want to tie into the fact that there was no lunch break. There was no lunch breaks. There was no lunch time. Like, there was nothing. And so I really want to hone this into you guys. We had to serve the students, and the teachers ate the leftovers. Let me repeat that. We served the students. The teachers would then eat the leftovers. If it's not a jail, why are they putting us in conditions like that? Even in a jail, they wouldn't do that. And so I'm like, I need to show you guys some of the pictures of the food that I was eating on a daily basis. I made sure to take pictures of the food that I was eating every single day, because I was like, this is evidence. And I called, this is one of the complaints that I had from a while. I was like, why are we eating scraps? Like, is this even a legal thing for us to not be able to leave? We're not entitled to a 1-hour lunch break, which legally you're supposed to have. So I can't leave.
You can't bring your own lunch.
Exactly, I can't leave. And the thing is, I could bring my own lunch, but there was no time to eat, because you're serving the kids, you're cleaning up, you're doing everything. And so basically what you can eat is the scraps. And it did not change until, first of all, our school it was just losing teachers left and right. There was people running in. What did Megan say?
Running through their house like
a 2 meter. We lost like maybe 5, 6, 7, 8. I don't even know.
While you were there.
While I was there, we lost a bunch of teachers.
Well, how can they not lose teachers if they don't get bathroom breaks?
Exactly. And so the only reason why the lunch break changed is because we got a new teacher, and on his first day, he said, look, I can't do this. This is not humane. And so after that, they were like, oh, because everyone it was a man. And because he kept complaining, and because of that, they were like, okay, you guys are now entitled to a 1-hour lunch break. I was like, I brought this up to you guys multiple times. Like, for one, as you guys know, I have a garlic allergy. So it's like, it was already a problem eating the school lunch. And the second thing is, I can't even leave to eat my own lunch. Number 3, I can't bring my own food because there's no time to eat. And so it was like, so you mean to tell me one man comes, in his first 8 hours there, you decide to just switch everything up? I was like, bruh, this is not making no sense. And so that is another thing tied under breaks. The other thing is no bathroom breaks, bro. You have to ask for permission before going to the bathroom. And I know for some people it makes sense, because it's like, you're watching over kindergarten students, elementary students, you can't just leave. But it's like, there is someone else in the classroom. We always have a Korean co-teacher. And if for whatever reason your Korean co-teacher is not there, you can always ask another person to come into the class. However, regardless, I always had to be like, hey, is it okay if I go to the bathroom? And there are times when they would say no. Imagine I'm a grown person and another grown person telling me I can't go to the bathroom. If I were to pee right there, then what? Because it's like, it's just, I remember there was a time when, obviously this is a little bit TMI, but it's like, my period was so bad. And it's like, that was a time that, I can't remember who it was. I think it was one of the directors. I was like, oh no, you can't leave. And I was like, no, I'm actually leaving. Like, I actually have to go home. And so I had to, because we lived close to the school, it was during the time when we had like a 10-minute kind of intermission before your next class. However, they just decided to take away that intermission. And that was the intermission where I would always run home, do my business, you know, change my pad or whatever, and then come back. And so when they were like, oh, we're going to take that away, I was like, you're absolutely not. Like, I'm going home. And so that's another thing that ties into the no labor rights. They can take anything away from you, and there's so little that you can do about it, knowing that there's not really anyone out there that will help you. Like, still getting treated like shit, it's so dehumanizing. And it just built up over time. Imagine I'm going through all these dumbass situations. No bathroom break, no lunch break. I'm eating scraps for lunch. There's no one to turn to. It's like everything is piling up. And then on top of that, the pay is shit. Like, when you really deep it, a lot of YouTubers were lying when they said, oh, you know, you can save money on a 2.1. No, you can't.
You don't find that suspicious? You don't find that suspicious?
If not for the fact that I hustled and worked a lot before I came to Korea, I don't even know what I would have done. I needed groceries, okay? And no one told me that the cost of fruits and vegetables were so insanely expensive. And so all my money was going to groceries, right? And it's like, on top of that, all my money was going to repairing that apartment that they put me in with all the mold issues, with all the leaking, with all the bug infestations. And so I could not save anything. And so that's why when I see, and it's not even a case of like, obviously I do like to go shopping, but I wasn't out here like, oh, ballin', I'm about to do a $200 haul. It was literally like, this $5 skirt from this outside market in the middle of an underground market in Seoul looks great. Let me buy this one thing this month. That was pretty much it, because what else could I have spent money on? It was literally all on necessities, and I saved nothing. I really...
How can you save on less than on that type of money?
Exactly, because even though it's 2.1, I was actually, after taxes, it was like 1.8. And so when you take into account all the other shit that I had to pay for, the heating, listen, at my first apartment, I think maybe because they put me in a trap house, the heating was not that expensive. My second apartment, although it was not that much better, it was a little bit bigger because it was an office tell. So I did not realize that if you're placed in an office tell, the heating bill is going to be insane, okay? So my heating bill at my first place is maybe like $60 to $100. My second place, I was paying $350, upwards of $350 every single month.
For one person.
For one
One
person.
room.
And mind you, I always turned off my heater before I left for work. So it's not like it was just running. It was only when I was at home that the heating was on. And yet that heating bill for that little small space that I was in is pretty much more than the house that I'm living in right now. A whole house, okay? It's like, how can you save in this condition? That really ties into the fact that I really feel like these hagwon owners think that they can continue to exploit foreign workers and pay them crumblets. They really think that they can get away with it, and people will accept it because maybe they don't know any better.
Yeah, you didn't know any better.
Exactly, I didn't know any better. I didn't think that I would not be able to save, because I saw people who were like, yes, you know, if you don't eat, if you don't go out, you can't save.
And the
and
thing is, they used to pay more 10 years ago.
Exactly.
But they don't tell you. They used to pay more 8 years ago.
Yeah,
it's dramatically gone down.
They don't tell you that.
The last 3 years.
Right. The starting salary right now for most places is like 2.1. The starting salary 10 years ago was 2.6. Okay, 2.6 million won. Like, that's not even like, how do you get away with some shit like that? Like, I don't even understand how it can just drop.
Because Korea got more hype, so they're like, okay, we can just charge less for people that want to come.
Exactly, and I feel like that's part of it, because a lot of people are desperate.
Japan pay way more.
Exactly, teachers in Japan earn a lot more. Yeah. They're earning like My friend, she's earning like 2.8. That's starting. That's starting. Her first, she doesn't even have teaching experience, okay?
That's starting.
Right. Whereas here, starting is 2.1.
Still-
To basically find my own replacement and pay like $2,000 for my employer to release me from my contract. Because in Korea, you can't just quit your job as a foreigner. If you quit, your employer is not entitled to release you at all. They don't got to do a damn thing.
Yeah.
You can leave. You cannot work again until your contract ends. So for me, I signed on like March 1st. I quit in August and I did not get released until November. It's pretty much November. Yeah, I just could not get released because she was like, oh, the only way I'm going to release you is if you find a replacement, if you pay for their quarantine, if you pay for your flight reimbursement, she took my whole paycheck out.
Yeah.
Like she just took the whole, and that month I was like, as we know, you can't save. So that month was literally fight or flight. Like when I saw comments that were like, Tio, why aren't you posting? I'm like, bruh. But I had to do that so that I could get released from that jail cell that I was working at. We have to advocate for other foreigners and we cannot continue to accept these sort of wages. And that's when it really clicked to me that like this exploitation is not a joke.
It's normalized.
It's normalized because when I was meeting other teachers that were also my age, they were like, yeah, 2.1, 2.2. Like my second
2.3.
yeah,
like,
2.3 was like, ooh, big money, ooh, but that's not good. And so that's what I have to say about that money. The money is not worth it. If you're going to teach in a country where they actually pay their teachers a livable salary, okay? But the worst thing, bruh, listen, I love kids. I think they're the coolest. I think they're cool. You know that? But I had some bad ass kids.
And most of those kids, they have some issues that are just going unaddressed that their parents don't give a fuck.
Exactly. Okay, because I really wanted to preface that some of those students should have been in a better equipped school.
Yeah.
School that had
more support.
Yeah, school that had more support teachers that actually knew how to treat students that may have had their condition. Because I'm not even kidding. We had students who were very much on the spectrum. And so they were nonverbal. Some of them were very violent and none of us knew how to deal with it. And when you tack on the fact that some of these parents were rich, and if you had any sort of constructive criticism like, hey, you know, I'm struggling with trying to figure out how to deal with, let's say, their mood swings or some of their physical behavior, you become an enemy, bro. They literally had this one teacher get on her knees and apologize to one student. That was some of the most dehumanizing shit I've ever seen. Over something that was the student's fault. Something happened. It's a long story. We don't even gotta get into it, but just know it was not the teacher's fault. But they literally had her come into the classroom and imagine a grown woman get on her knees and apologize to someone who's like 9 years old. I was like, this is so bad, okay? But that's a whole other thing. The behavior. Bro,
They don't lie about them. Those
K-dramas are not lying. All that bullying shit, that is 100% true. And it's like, we can't do anything.
You just stepping in,
right?
And you get reported.
Exactly. Every time I tried to intervene, I'd get in trouble. And it's like, obviously I'm still going to intervene. I'm not going to be that person that's like, y'all hear something?
Yeah.
But it's like, every single time, problems. Every single time. And it's like, I had a student put a scissor to my neck. I remember during my first week, my hand was so bloody and torn up. Like, I have a picture of it. I don't know if I can find it. But my hand was just covered in cuts because the students were so bad. I'm telling you right now, those Korean dramas are not capping when they say those students are out here like, rah, rah, rah. You see them pulling out broomsticks and shit. They really do be doing that. So that's the violent, right? So there's a lot of violent, pulling my hair, scratching me, taking off my glasses, punching. You just know I always recorded that shit. I don't care if they see it. I don't care if I documented everything. If you're a teacher in Korea, document everything. Record everything. Every single time my boss yelled at me, I recorded it. Every single time a parent said anything, I recorded it. Every single time a student was beating my ass up, I had my camera out like this. I was filming a TikTok. Right. I had my camera out. And so make sure you record everything. But outside of the violent behavior, bro, a lot of those students are depressed, and it's not their fault. Like, the school system is so bad. It does not make any sense. There's no structure. All it entails is come to school at 8, leave by 2 a.m. How can you put young children whose brains have not even developed yet in a condition like that? I remember I had a student who in the middle of teaching just opened the window and tried to jump out. I was like, ain't no way, bro. I said, ain't no way. I did it. I was like, first of all, I had to de-escalate the situation. And again, as someone who doesn't have that sort of training, I'm like, what the hell am I supposed to do? I'm like,
that's traumatic.
It's so traumatizing because I'm like, as I'm back here in Canada, I'm still thinking about the students because I'm like, I don't even know
if things are better.
Exactly. Are you okay? Like, go into these situations thinking, you know, it's not going to be easy, but you're not expecting your students to try to in the middle of class. And so that was a culture shock. If you're considering teaching English in Korea, I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying that there's so many things that you need to look out for and you need to stay aware of, because any chance that they can get to exploit you or to abuse you, they will take it, especially a hagwon, because who's gonna stop them? The police? Which police? Something happens at these schools. Like, again, I don't want to deter anyone who might be going through a situation where they feel like they need to report, but I'm just saying it is hard to report. If something does happen in that country and you are a foreign worker, it is hard to report and get any semblance of justice or any sort of resources. It's just not giving that, okay? So I talked about the no labor rights. I mentioned the dumbass contracts. I said that there's no breaks. And again, with the whole thing with COVID, there was really no structure. Your school can do whatever the hell it wants to do. There could be a whole outbreak. If they want to keep going to school, even if the health board comes in, they will find a way to keep you there. So there was the rude parents, entitled, controlling. If they don't like what you're doing, you will have to fix it immediately. Doesn't even matter if they're not right. It is what it is. They have, customer is always right? They have the final say. And so even if the shit don't make sense, I'm telling you, they will make you do a routine, a cheerleading performance. Put on a monkey costume if they could. And if the parent wants you to do that, you will do that. Regardless of what people say, it is extremely hard to save money, damn near impossible, on a 2.1 to 2.3. People do it, but it's not a desirable thing. It's not something that you should have to settle for. You're a human being. You shouldn't have to be eating scraps and figuring out ways, oh man, you know, I want to stay in Korea, but I there's nothing for me to eat today. You should not have to go through that just to stay in a country. The shitty apartments, as I told you, a lot of, I don't know what it is. I feel like 5 years ago, a lot of the apartments that teachers are getting was a lot better than what I've been seeing lately. Like, obviously people are still getting those nice, luxurious, you know, new loft apartments, and God bless them, because that's amazing. But when I, like, talking to some other teachers and seeing how their setup is, I'm like, they really putting us in a box. Like, they really putting us in a box. And what's crazy is that I asked for a picture, because you should always ask for a picture of your accommodation before you go there. And I asked for a picture, and that shit don't even look the same. So that's already a thing within itself. They're really putting us in the ugliest, cheapest places because they know that people will settle for it. And it's not right. And before anyone says, why didn't you quit? I did. I literally quit twice. I quit the first academy after 8 months. And I was like, you know what? This is kindergarten. Maybe it's not meant for me. Or maybe this school, this situation is not meant for me. Like, I had a positive outlook that not all schools were like this. I joined another academy, another horrific experience. And so after that, I was like, you know what? I'm out. And I quit again. And I'm very thankful that I did. And so,
God got you.
Right, God got me. And like, I'm very blessed that I was able to get through that experience. The biggest thing though is that I created YouTube. And the reason why I went to Korea is because I wanted to put YouTube on my portfolio. I'm not even gonna hold you. I started this as basically a social experiment. I wanted to see if I could really become an influencer and put it on my resume. And thank God I did that, because I was able to secure my dream job. And so the reason why I wanted to create this video is because I just wanted to share with you guys the truth about teaching in Korea. Because I know people talk about hagwon horror stories, But I really feel like it's more than that. It's a whole culture of just exploitation and abuse and neglect for a lot of the foreign workers that are actually in Korea. It's like when you think of the fact that now there's a new president, right, who not only wants to who will be removing the Ministry of like women's rights or like gender equality, that's going to get removed. On top of that, he wants to cut down the health insurance for foreigners there. So it's really like, what's the point? People already prioritize like, oh, if I go to Korea, I'll get health insurance. I don't know anymore. I don't know about that. So I made this video just to basically talk about all of the experience, just all of the disadvantages that come with teaching in Korea and how you really have to be careful. There's a lot of dangerous situations that you could potentially go in. And when you tack on the fact that there's not a lot of support systems or there's no board that could really help you when you get put in these situations. The reason why I was able to film all those videos and the reason why I didn't really show the bad side is because I had to be positive for me. I really had to have something good to look forward to. I needed to have that sense of joy. And so that's why I wanted my videos to be as joyful as possible, because I needed that too. Like, I knew how much it meant for my viewers to see such positive representation, to see a Black girl living carefree. But I also literally needed that. Like, I needed to go out and go cafe hopping. So I don't want people to think, oh, it was fake or she was not being true or she's not being authentic. That was very much real. That was very much me.
You're having fun with your friends.
Exactly. I was still having fun with my friends. I was still making new experiences, trying new foods. It was still enjoyable times. Those videos are 100% real. I just was never able to talk about all of the other bad shit that I was experiencing because of that fear of defamation laws and deportation and just everything else that was just tacked on top of the pressure of being a foreigner in a new country. And so I hope that this video was informative for you guys. Please feel free to share this video, comment, like, subscribe, and don't forget to follow my Instagram at Tiwa Talks for more content. And I will continue to post vlogs, so don't even worry. I'm still going to be on this account. Thank you. Bye.